Okay, and welcome once again to another edition of Tiger TV. I'm your host, Tony Symonds, and today we are blessed again to be sitting in the company of one of the former captains of the Glenelg Football Club, Mr. Kym Koster. Kymmy.
So, mate,
how are you, mate?
Being blessed, mate. But
oh no, this is just amazing. Actually, you can't see under this table, but there's 4 of the worst legs you've ever seen in your life. 2 sets of very bad legs, Kym.
They're extremely bad. I don't know how yours are going, but mine are very lucky to be holding me up at the moment.
Now, mate, it's fantastic to have you here. Tell us a little bit about your early childhood. Born in Whyalla, I believe, but spent a fair bit of time at Yankalilla, which is almost my hometown in a way. Long story, but tell us yours.
Yeah, look, born in Whyalla. Moved from there. I actually played with the West Whyalla Dragons. Moved to Yankalilla when I was about 7. And my mum married a dairy farmer, so I moved up to a farm and obviously helped milk cows. And from there, just played with the Yankalilla Tigers. Then South Adelaide Juniors, and then obviously my career was lucky enough to play a few senior games. And look, I reckon I played 1 against you, and I do believe that you actually towed me up.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah,
actually towed him up.
I think you did. I think Glenelg had a great day, and it was just one of those days as a wingman where you just couldn't get into it, and I couldn't get near you.
Well, you're probably a bit unlucky looking back, because that was my last year in 1992. I didn't play too many good games, so thanks for trying to help extend my career, Kymmy. But yeah, it was all downhill after that, unfortunately. Darren Trevina got me in my last game at against South Adelaide, so you would have been a young guy in those days, and he would have been probably middle of his career.
I was, and I reckon probably that day I stood your brother. And I believe he actually got me drafted because I had a day out on him. So we always have a bit of a joke about it, actually. So,
good Symonds, yeah, bad Symonds.
Exactly.
Well, okay, let's get into it a little bit more in a little bit more detail. You played, I think, about 133 games of AFL football, kicked 44... Actually, interesting stat you might not know, kicked 44 goals and 44 points. Did you know that?
Wow, no, I didn't know that.
So, not a great execution mate there, really, Kym. But tell us, first of all, about getting drafted to Melbourne and then coming back to Adelaide.
Yeah, look, I was lucky enough in '92 to be drafted by the Bulldogs with their first pick. And look, I think back then it was a list of 52, so you did actually have to go. And I suppose my advice from my dad was, I asked him first, what do you reckon? And he sort of said, well, he probably thought I needed to have another year in Adelaide. And look, I was lucky enough to be playing with Nails, Mark Nayley back then too, and he'd already been sort of over there and done it. So I asked him, and he probably sort of said the same. And Harry Kernahan was actually our footy manager, CEO, and he wanted me to stay too. And I think it was probably not just for...
Harry would have been giving you all the best advice. Yeah. It'd be in your best interest to stay for another year or so, Kym, I would have thought.
Correct. And look, I think it was probably obviously for the team side of things too. But look, I don't have any regrets about staying. Probably would have liked to have gone earlier, but no regrets. When I got there, I went over actually with a broken leg and had the best job of all. Was driving EJ Whitten around for a month. Oh. Lost his licence for speeding, apparently.
If you didn't know how to swear, you certainly knew how to swear after that.
So, look, awesome time over there. So, ended up playing every game bar the first one in my first year. And then hurt my ankle in a pre-season game and actually dislocated it and missed about, I think, 6 to 8 weeks, and then played the rest of the year after that. And look, was lucky enough to play with some stars of the game in your Chris Grants. I played with Dougie Hawkins for a year.
That would have been experience.
Mate, unbelievable. grew up pretty quickly from a boy from the country with all those guys. But
there was a bit going on out of the Western Oval in those days. Crowds were fiercely parochial, and I noticed they had the Doug Hawkins wing on the far side in those days. Did they end up renaming the other side the Kym Koster wing at all?
You know what? I'm not dead yet. Maybe when I pass away, people like myself just become more famous when we're dead.
Hopefully that's a few years away.
It could be a long time, so who knows?
So the 2 years at the Western Oval would have been a massive decision to try and come back to Adelaide at that time, even though you're obviously a South Australian boy. It would have been a big call at the time.
Yeah, look, like I said, I really loved my time there. And everyone sort of says, why'd you come home? I think the reasons everyone says is homesickness. I don't think it was actually homesickness. You know what? Back then there wasn't much money around in Adelaide. Actually, we were offering a lot more. So I can honestly sit here today and go, that was the real reason. But back at the time, you know, like money wasn't massive playing footy, and I thought, wow, this is it was good coin they're offering me is to come home. And you know what? When I did, I thought, great, back with the family, friends, and knew a few blokes at Adelaide. And then obviously I did my knee against the Bulldogs.
So 96, I think you came back.
Correct.
And got injured that year.
Yes, in round 9 against the Doggies at Whitten Oval, and got a huge reception. Probably not the right sort I wanted.
So you weren't one of those guys getting carted off on the stretcher where all the old hometown people were still applauding you, saying, all the best, Kym. You didn't get that?
No, I got quite a bit of booing and that. And I think when people realised that there was actually something wrong, there was a little bit of clapping. But it was interesting after the game. We got belted, and there's a lot of abuse being hurled through the race. So, but look, I missed the rest of the year, and then you know what? We're then lucky enough to play in '97.
Well, let's go there. 1997, 1998. Dear, oh dear. Talk about timing. How did you really think you were going to go 97? Was there ever a real feeling prior to winning that grand final that you were seriously a chance?
No, look, I think we had obviously Blighty came and cleaned out a lot of the old blokes.
Most of my old mates.
Yeah, they were. And look, great players, and they were great blokes because I had them in '96. And look, I suppose at the end of the day, what he did was he got rid of the old, had the new, and brought us really close. We were all very, very close with each other. And I don't think we really thought we were an awesome team because we played against obviously the North Melbournes and the Bulldogs then, and also St Kilda were great. But I think what he did was just honestly bring us together, and I do believe that the first showdown that we played against Port that year was a massive turning point for the club and also for us blokes because it really hurt.
And then to do it again 2 years in a row, I mean, did you see that coming? I don't think anyone saw that coming. And Blighty, as we know, is a champion bloke, but he's out there, let's be honest. He probably told you it was possible again, and you probably believed him.
Do you know what? He probably did, and it was interesting because whatever he actually did tell you would generally happen or work. Yeah. Even, you know, telling you how to snap a goal or do something, it'd generally work for you. But no, I didn't see it coming. And look, seriously, we were just so lucky, but I think we had a massive self-belief, and we were by far, I believe, in 2 years, the fittest team running around, and that really helped us.
Certainly mentally it gives you an advantage, doesn't it? Because you believe you can win. Doesn't matter how far down you are in the last quarter, you think you're going to run it out and you're a big chance to win still.
Yeah, exactly. And look, we're lucky enough too, but I can tell you right now, the following year, we try to mimic the whole pre-season again. I tell you, it's mentally destroyed me. And I reckon mentally destroyed everyone. And we were actually pretty poor in '99. I think we were spent.
Yeah, and Blighty was probably spent, and it's fairly taxing. It's hard work winning 2 premierships in a row. Not many of us have done it, really. There we go. So now let's move on from there. 3 years, or more than 3 years at Adelaide, probably 5 or 6 years at Adelaide.
What was it, 5 years?
5 or 6, and a good interviewer would have known that. And then went back to South Adelaide, where it all started for you in a senior sense, I guess. Had the year back there as captain, and then made the big move, massive move, to come to Glenelg. How did that come about, Kym?
Yeah, well, my mate Azzy delisted me in 2001, so I went back to South where it all started, under Ando, who was a good mate of mine. Yep. And look, Andrew Osborne had left, and they offered me the captaincy, and you know what, I thought, I'd love to be the captain of your footy club that I grew up barracking for and playing for. And it didn't go that well our season. Had a reasonable side, but it just didn't go to plan. And in the end, what happened was I just wanted some success with the Panthers, and I never been a captain before, and I thought it was my job to stand up to whatever had to be stood up to, and got all the advice from all the players, and probably got involved in politics, which is not a strong forte of mine. I just believe in being truthful and telling the truth, and it probably didn't go how it should have. And in the end, I suppose I just probably maybe upset too many people in being completely upfront and blunt and honest.
Gone out of it?
Yeah, it had. So look, BH, Brett Nonna was the coach here at the time, and he gave me a phone call, and I wasn't planning on leaving and coming to another club. But what they were offering in the fact of personnel was unbelievable. Yeah. I thought our side on paper was probably the best in the comp, and I thought, well, hey, if I can go and play there and win a flag, it'd be awesome. So I did, came down under James Byrne and played with probably one of your good mates, who Simon Hill, who I enjoyed my time immensely with him. He's a great man and
great guy,
a great player. And then the next year, David Noble come along. And I didn't ever want to be a captain of another footy club because I didn't want to get involved in politics anymore. That I made a promise. I said, look, I actually said to him, I said, look, I'm not the right bloke for you. Why don't you give it to a Paul Shield or a Ben Moore who's been here forever? He said, no. He believed that I was probably maybe the oldest, but the best leader at the time.
Yeah.
Which I said, okay, I took it on, and you know what? I really actually enjoyed it. Didn't get involved in the political side of things, but we did have a great year in my 2 years here.
Yep.
And then...
So it probably didn't finish how you wanted it to finish.
Not really. And look, things happen in life. I then had to look after 2 kids full time, where marriage break up.
Yep.
And I just thought, well, that's probably the right time for me to leave and look after them. And you know what? No regrets, but I look back and go, God, I wished I'd played for another few years.
Yeah. Well, footy's, sort of like that a bit, isn't it? It doesn't always finish the way we want it to finish, and sometimes it's not your decision. It wasn't, so it happens. But then trying to put a bit of fun back into your football, I guess. Did you go straight back to Yankalilla at that stage with the one and only Greg Whittlesey, who also played at Glenelg for a while?
No, I didn't. I actually went and played Div 7 for Glenelg Gardens.
That's right. I did know that, believe it or not.
For a couple of years, which is extremely interesting, and I can sit here all day and tell you some funny stories about that. But did that for a couple of years. Then I think I had a year off, and I was out the pub one night. Simon Tregenza was coaching Sacred Heart.
This is where many football careers finish and many other football careers start, in the front bar of the local hotel.
And it was, and I was speaking to a couple of the blokes there, actually David Wheeler and Matt Raponi, who Bomber's actually involved in the club here, said, look, are you going to coach next year? And I said, look, I tell you what, if you guys lose the grand final, I will. If you win, I'm not doing it. And fair enough, I end up losing the grand final. But went up to Div 2 from Div 3, and I ended up coaching for a couple of years.
Okay, yeah. Well,
then went back and played with Whit.
Then went back, and I believe Greg Whittlesey might have been one of your boyhood heroes. Is that correct?
Mate, he was. I remember when I was about 15, he won the McGarry Medal.
Yep.
And he flew down in a helicopter and addressed the whole assembly, and I just, from that day, I thought, geez, I want to do that.
Yeah.
It was quite amazing, but I never got to ride around in a helicopter.
One of the most, a bit like yourself, he was one of the most popular recruits we had down here. Everyone loves Whit, and everyone loves you too, Kym. Well, we'll soon find out if we get many viewings of this.
Well,
I guess we'll find out.
He was a great man, great man.
Still
you know what? I actually only played one game, but I will say it was a highlight of my actual whole footy career. It was Yankalilla versus Maiponga. It's a very big rivalry game.
The local derby.
Last game of the year, and he put the boots on, and I was like, mate, this is a dream come true, playing with Greg Witt. So we ended up winning, so it was a good day.
He wouldn't have lost any of his pace by that stage because he never had any.
No, he didn't, but God,
he'd probably slowed up a bit.
He still play. Mate, I'd slowed up a lot. I had this big knee brace hanging around on my leg, which I've got to use these days to keep together. Not
good. So let's just delve into a couple of other aspects of your life. 4 children, is that correct?
4 children, yes.
3 boys.
And a little girl.
How old's the little girl?
She's 3.
The apple of your eye, they tell me.
Well, she's
probably got you wrapped around her little finger.
Well, do you know what? Everyone says that, but I treat them all the same, you know. Like, she's probably just a little bit different.
3 older brothers. I don't envy her when she starts going out in a few years' time. They're going to be following her around.
Mate, it's not the brothers, it's the dad.
There we go. And also, it must be a massive thrill having your son out here playing senior football as well. I think he played his first game, was it last year? It might have been the year before, but he was only 17, I think, when he made his debut. That must be fantastic.
Yeah, look, it was. It was actually against South as well at Noarlunga, and look, he did have a great day. And it is exciting. It makes you feel pretty old, Simo, when you've got your son running around out here. But look, he's going okay. He's playing reserves at the moment because he can't break into the league team. Are going exceptionally well, and that's the reason. So, you know, the twos are going okay, but they're sort of up and down.
Any tips for Matty Loken about how he should be selecting his side? Matty normally watches this every week.
Well, mate, there's no tips at all. Matty's going well. I will say that I was talking to Chris and Jeffrey about this, and we watched the whole pre-season, and we actually both, I'm sure she would put her hand up and admit it, that we thought, wow, it could be a long year. But you know what? The boys are going great guns, and I don't know what they did to turn it around, but they're playing awesome footy.
They are. Well, that's because we've got a super coach, Matty Loken, in charge. Now, probably the highlight of your life, just about, apart from the birth of your 4 children, would have been winning the Men's Health magazine Man of the Year a few years ago. Tell us a bit about that, Kym.
Yeah, well, that was
still looking fantastic, by the way.
Yeah, I won't take the shirt off.
A couple of six-packs here somewhere.
I'm sucking in. Sucking in.
I know you really had to seriously discipline yourself for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. It was about sort of realistically a good 4 to 5 months. I didn't drink any alcohol, but I actually didn't do any dairy or any carbohydrates. It was pure protein. And look, when people say you train exceptionally hard, I didn't train that hard, honestly, like as in flog yourself to death, but I was doing probably over 700 sit-ups a day, like, and that's just in one hit.
Really?
So I think that's where
sounds painful.
It came into. But you know what? It was hard work because you know what? I don't mind having a beer and eating some good food. So
out of all of that, the hardest thing I think is not having a beer.
Yeah,
you get the 700 push-ups or sit-ups.
I think you're right, and I thought, well, what should I do? Should I just do a beer diet? But I think that would actually be. It's meant to be Men's Health. So
you make the final of this thing, line up on the stage.
Yeah,
look,
how it works? It was interesting. We went down. I think there was 12 blokes, and I sort of went to Sydney for this, and I'm thinking, oh God, these blokes would probably be all a little bit, you know,
big muscly units.
and look in the mirror and all that sort of stuff, and not being like yourself and I, like enjoying a beer and you know. But no, they were good guys. What happened was then it was like I had to pick, I think 6 of us from that 12. There was obviously photo shoots and so forth, and then on the night we went back to Sydney again. I think it was in February, and there was 6 blokes there, and they called 3 up on stage, and I was one of them, and I thought, I'm a chance here. And so they called out, obviously, 3rd, 2nd. I went, I'm it. And so then they called my name up, and I was pretty happy.
And of course, the nice thing to say would be that you didn't do it for the money, which was $10,000, I believe, but you probably did do it for the money.
Well, I was getting married to an unbelievably young, sexy young girl. So I thought, Sarah is it. So I thought, well, I had to obviously pay for the wedding somehow.
Yeah.
So no, that came in very handy. Came in very, very handy.
So there you go. There's a scoop. He did do it for the money after all. I thought so. Now, listen, so that's obviously a highlight, and we remember seeing you on the front cover of that magazine. A lot of blokes had a lot of fun talking about that, believe me, all over South Australia.
Do you know, it's not fun, because from that moment I put on weight, and every time I see someone, it's like, geez, you put on a bit. It's never that you're looking good. It's
you spent the whole $10,000 on beer.
Yeah.
Now, I know you're still... You've moved on now in your home life and business life, but you're still bringing stuff to the footy club. Flurio Milk, who you're working for now, are a sponsor at the footy club?
Sure, yeah. Look, I started working with Flurio Milk 3 weeks before Christmas. A great company to work for, and just the blokes that run the company are brilliant.
Big Barry Clark.
Baz, he's...
I don't want to bag him too much, but Barry Clark did knock me out when I was playing for Victor Harbour. So.
I was about to say you would have spent a bit of time in
He was a hard unit.
He was a hard man.
Magpie?
Magpie, yep.
Great fellas.
Great blokes. I believe Barry actually played again on the weekend, so...
Someone told me that. B grade, he'd be my age, I reckon, but anyway... Great guys.
Great blokes. Great company. It's, you know, I can say I've had 3 jobs in my life, and one was driving EJ, one was playing footy, and this. And you know what? They're brilliant. I get the opportunity to work with Clay Sampson, who's my boss.
And his son's playing football with my son at the moment at Brighton.
And goes all right too, I believe.
Goes very well. He's got a bit of class about him, but we've got to talk it down because Clay doesn't like to sort of talking it up too much.
No, he doesn't.
Can play the lad.
No, he doesn't.
So great people.
Yeah, awesome. So I get to do that, and mods, we support Little Heroes as well, and so we get the luxury to have Tony Modra at least 2 days a week just for a bit of P&R. So
fantastic.
funny
Little
stories.
Heroes.
from him. And
great place. He's got a few mods, hasn't he?
he has.
Well,
So we sponsored the club there. And I've also got a cleaning business that my wife runs, and we also look after the footy club and sponsor with that as well.
what's the name of that
It's
business?
called Alchemy Cleaning Services.
Right, so there you go for all your cleaning needs, Alchemy Cleaning Services, and for all your milk needs, Fluorio Milk.
Correct.
And this is Kym Koster and I'm Tony Symonds, and thank you very much for watching this, and thanks Kym for making time to come and see us today.
All right, thanks so much.
Good on you, mate.